Welcome to TSW After Darkside, a fully armed and uncensored podcast platform.
And I think also and also what I've been building in this week is I've got a tweet that I'm gonna reuse, which is basically just the latest video or the latest piece of content.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, because I've been doing that this week. I've been doing that for the last few weeks, anyways. The latest piece of content gets a couple of daily plugs.
Yeah.
But that's mainly to drive content to views to the blog, because if I don't do that, it's kind of like a dozen a day. Whereas when I do this spamming stuff, it takes me 10 minutes to choose what I'm going to, I curate a few bits and bobs and post it, but it gets me a couple of hundred.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Crowdfire, Paul?
No, sir.
You should look into that, mate. It's an app. It's a service that you can use. It's in the form of an application, so you can schedule tweets to go out throughout your day. So if you just... Sorry? You're looking now? Yeah, so you can do things like, if you look at my Twitter feed through the day, it's a lot of similar things like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, become part of the community, get the podcast here and whatever.
That's the one.
Scheduling those gets the same message out to the audience. My audience grows rapidly every day. By at least 20 a day.
What's that, followers?
20 followers a day, yeah.
Blimey, I'm getting
On
like 3
average.
or 4, which I thought was good. It is good.
Well,
I'm grateful for it.
It's a percentage at the end of the day, isn't it?
I found interesting, actually. We're recording now, right?
We're recording, yeah.
That's fine. So I'll just choose my words a bit more carefully than I otherwise would have.
We'll put more swear words in.
One thing I've noticed a lot of, actually, which I find very strange, I wonder how you feel about it, you guys. I'm seeing a lot of podcasts, and I mean, the reason is because if I put out something on Twitter and I use the Pod and Family hashtag, if somebody retweets me, I will generally give their show a go if it sounds like it could be up my street.
Yeah, I do that too.
So I've done that with, there's a couple of really good shows that I like quite a bit. What the fuck are they called? The We Three Geeks podcast.
Yeah.
I've had to listen to a couple of theirs and I quite like theirs. I can't, the trouble is because there's so many, I can't keep up with them on a regular basis, but they're one I do like. The Unwritable Rant.
Yes. I listened to her last week.
Oh, I love her. She's brilliant. Is it Juliana or something? Or Julia? I feel like a pillock now.
Juliana, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Juliana. Juliet Miranda. There you go. That's where I've got the ANA from.
She likes her bourbon.
Juliet Miranda. She does, and she's a girl.
I like her then.
Yeah. Yeah, we have we all have similar interests.
So yeah, Juliet Miranda, who does the Unwritable Rant podcast. I listened to the first one. I listened to the latest one the other day, and I really like that one a lot. So I'm gonna kind of support her because she's really cool. And yeah, just like I say, I'll generally, and this is pro tip for anybody listening, I will generally give a podcast a listen if they've retweeted me using Pod and Family, because I think that's only fair. However, I've noticed a couple of things on that subject. And this is kind of, I was going to write this up actually as one, or I could do a video or something, but I'm going to sort of give you the gist of it. If somebody follows me and say they've got like a couple of hundred followers, or there's certainly fewer than 1,000, and the first thing I get is an automated DM, get over yourself.
Yeah.
That's just it's not even laziness. It's like almost like a bit of arrogance to me.
I don't want to have to tell you this, but I have an automated DM.
I know you do, but you have over 1,000 followers, and that is, a bit different.
Yeah.
You can't be expected to be, I know from speaking to you how long these things can take.
Yeah, they can take a long time, and basically mine is a thank you anyway. Thank you for following. So it's
yes, this is it. Like, but so that's one thing, right? Now, one thing I know you don't do is you're not in the habit of following somebody and then 2 days later unfollowing them, hoping they don't notice.
No.
If you're listening and you're in the habit of doing that, fuck off.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I unfollow people that unfollow me because at the end of the day, I'm trying to build a community. I'm not trying to take over the world. I want to open lines of communication with people. That's why I follow back.
Yeah, exactly. I do the same because ultimately I might gain something from it. Like I got followed by some like a YouTube streamer or something, so I put a gaming video out. And they followed me, and I was like, "Oh, cool! They like their games. I may check their channel out sometime." By the time I even got round to it, they'd unfollowed me. I was like, "Well, then I'm definitely not going to bother now." And actually, if I see their name, the bile's gonna rise in my throat. Here's another one, right? I realise this is, it runs the risk of me alienating myself from the podcasting community, but these things just bug me.
Would you like me to cut this out if it goes pear-shaped?
This one piece can go. I'm finding it very odd, and this is something I like about Talk Star Wars versus the others. Now, we kind of went into a little bit of detail about the support and, that it's not a huge amount of money. Why in God's name would you go to crowdfunding if you can't make more than $10 a month in terms of public crowdfunding? Because you know what I mean? Because the number of podcasts I've been to and I've looked at their page, and it's like $6 a month. I'm like, that just makes you look crap. You know what I mean? Like, I like the way Talk Star Wars does it, which is even if that's the amount, it's not publicized anywhere. We're not showing people this is how much people, because it's about a value, isn't it? Like, crowdfunding is as much about bringing in the money as it is about kind of associating value with your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it seems weird to say, like, people think we're worth about $6 a month. Thank you very much. So you'll forgive me if I appear smug. I mean, it's very odd to me. I don't really understand the mentality behind it. But maybe it's literally just a difference in mentality. Like, I can't get my head around it, and they clearly can. But I don't get it. Like, and I was looking at podcasts with really nice professional looking artwork, and they've got a proper kind of what's it called? They've got a proper presence,
Yeah.
Like a proper kind of, you can see it in their, they've got a proper artwork, they've got a website associated, they've clearly kind of put thought into it. They've got a kind of almost like a brand statement, like a mission statement. Because one thing I feel like Emotionally 14's missing is I don't always have a clear kind of, I don't tend to do much marketing a lot in terms of building it as a brand, because it's a passion project ultimately, so I'm not really looking at that stuff. So I suppose that's one of those things that might just go over my head. Wow, yeah. I went a long time without breathing there.
Yeah. You've got that Rolf Harris skill of to breathe in at the same time
that's the only
as
skill
you're talking.
I've got, so in case we've got any lawyers listening.
Yeah, that's the only similarity. On the subject of marketing, I have just had confirmation that my T-shirt store is now fully open.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know if you saw those designs. You're both VIPs. Did you get those designs through tonight?
I did, yeah.
I did.
You like?
I do like.
The
only thing I've noticed, and let me just double check it before I say this, lest I look like a complete tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not. Well, I don't know whether it's. Let's have a look. Here we go. Right. Oh, they are there. Okay. I couldn't see at first where the Talk Star Wars branding was, but it is there.
Right. There's a story. I'm going to keep it short because I'm really keen to get to talk to Paul about The Force Awakens.
Okay.
So let's just keep this T-shirt thing nice, nice and short.
Right. Cool.
I'm not going to name the company because they did everything right. Okay. Absolutely everything right.
Right.
But it's left me a little bit high and dry. So basically, copyright is a pig to try and navigate.
Right.
I had a store set up with another service provider. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you'll know who they are. They are sterling. They are professional, and they delivered absolutely everything they promised to.
Yeah.
But they did keep pulling my designs down because they wanted too close to breaching copyright.
Right.
So using the term talkstarwars.co.uk ruffled too many feathers there because of
Star Wars.
Because of the use of Star Wars. So that's fine. I took those designs down and I put a bunch of similar designs up without the website on, which kind of undermines the purpose of doing this thing in the first place.
Yes.
And then they were pulling down designs because of the font I was using. And if I put a T-shirt design up that said it's a wrap, obviously it's too close to it's a trap.
Seriously?
Now, there's a thing called fair use.
And it's parody.
Parody falls within fair use.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
They were uncomfortable with it. They stated their position clearly, so I felt it was only fair to close the store and try and find another service provider because they were clearly anxious about the situation I was putting them in. I was being very careful. I don't understand the intricacies of copyright law, so I didn't really know what I was doing wrong. So I tried to put right everything that I interpreted as what was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was still ending up with a T-shirt that said "I love newts." And for a Star Wars podcast, that's not enough. For the insiders,
it's
they'll
insufficient.
Understand.
That's very much one of those. Like, there's a T-shirt brand that does video game T-shirts. I won't name the brand because I know that a lot of people are fans, and I'm not meaning to shit on them. But I do notice that there is one particular T-shirt brand who do seem to make T-shirts that you'll only get if you've played the game. That it's associated with, and sometimes you have to really know the subject matter inside out to be able to figure out the reference. Like sometimes it's. Have you watched my Z-Box unboxings?
Yep.
So the first couple I did. The first one I did, which was horror themed, and it had a T-shirt for Stovington Eagles.
Yeah.
Which is what the T-shirt that Jack Nicholson's wearing in The Shining, or something like that. It's stuff like that. Stuff that's a bit too, you have to have seen the film and you really have to be paying attention to get the T-shirt. It's like, that's not really, I don't think, what T-shirts should be for. T-shirts are very much for, like how George Lucas was always saying, you have to know in the blink of an eye what that character from another person. Yeah. To me, you have to be able to read the T-shirt in the time it takes to walk past somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
And that's the idea of, Paul, you've just been sending me images of the It's a Wrap T-shirt on the new store. That's the idea of that. It needs to register immediately that that's a Star Wars parody. Yeah. That's why I went that way. The other designs on there, I mean, Emperor Palpatino is a little bit more of a deep cut because that's it. If you're invested in us, you'll get it. Yeah. And the other one is I hate frogs is the one with the frog in between. Yeah. That's all done as well. It's a deep cut TSW reference. So that's it's. You should be able to register that they are of a certain thing, and it is part of this Star Wars fan community. But it doesn't have to be "I love you, I know." Now the thing is, when I was talking to this original service provider of mine, I was saying I'm not really sure. There are other T-shirts on the service that had things like "I love you, I know," or it had pictures of Princess Leia, or it had pictures of the Death Star. So I went. Talk about twice this week I've cheated and not bothered doing the research. I went straight to Lucasfilm and I sent them an email and said, look, this is what I want to do. Can I do it? Yeah. And they emailed me back with all their guidelines on how to approach it. And basically...
See, that's awesome.
Yeah. Basically...
You'd have been fine.
No. Basically...
Oh, okay.
This is why I'm saying this. The previous service provider did everything right. I was walking a very fine line.
Oh, okay.
But I have found some common ground, and that is why the new store is now open and we're approved, and these products are up. But you'll notice that there is in the Talk Star Wars merchandising store. Yeah, there's currently only 3 TSW designs, but there's a plethora of Star Wars T-shirts that you can buy.
Ah, okay.
Because I've got other designers to make these T-shirts, and that's what we're selling.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there'll be very few in there with Talk Star Wars on.
Branding on it, but it's obviously a place for people to buy T-shirts.
I've got more planned. There'll be there's going to be a TSW T-shirt, and there's going to be a TSW VIP T-shirt, and all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, I just want to be able to give people access to awesome Star Wars merch, T-shirts, and.
Have you tweeted and Facebook these yet?
Not yet, because since we've been talking, I've only just had the email certifying
that it's good to go.
Yeah, because the link that's on the site at the moment is on the homepage.
Some of these are awesome.
Yeah, the link on the homepage goes directly to our store. But until I had that email, you're just buying them through us. Yeah, and now you're buying them from us.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So it's all good. That's the new T-shirt. So it's from TeePublic. There's a link on the site. There will be more. I'm working on some more. Partnerships. There'll be more designs thrown in there, and when I get a chance to find more exciting designs. There's one in particular that I've got in mind. I'll add them, and I'll take a few away if they're proving not to be very popular.
Yeah, fair enough.
So hang on, right? I'm looking at these now. 3 of them are specifically by you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you're selling all the others as well.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, nice. There's some really nice designs in them. I will say that.
They're gorgeous, right?
Damn sure. Yeah, really nice.
They are gorgeous. So
tis but a scratch. Yay!
Right, so I recommend, if you're listening to this now, head to talkstarwars.co.uk. On the homepage, you'll see a little icon that's T Public.
Yeah, it's on the right side next to
that's temporary.
above the top. Oh, okay.
I will be putting it will go in the same position, but I'm going to be putting on a full-on proper banner in there at some point when I get time. But right now that does the job. There's also, if you go to Shop Star Wars on our top menu, the first drop-down option is to buy Talk Star Wars branded merchandise.
So it is.
You can get it all there: phone covers, notebooks, all sorts of stuff. Very exciting.
Ooh,
very
that's
exciting.
Really cool stuff. There's some really cool stuff in there.
This is the last thing I've been trying to. When did I launch the site? October last year. So this is the last thing I had to do.
Yeah.
To get this right, and unfortunately, it didn't work with the last service provider. It wasn't them doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I found a way to do it now with this new service provider that I think is what I was looking for initially. So job done. Paul, let's talk about Force Awakens.
Why?
Because I really want to get an understanding of what won you over. I had no doubt that this film would win you over at some point because of how much I love it. And you and we were on similar pages.
Right. It was, to be honest, in a nutshell, you're going to think this might sound a little bit sappy and romantic, but it is what it is, and I am what I am, so I'm just going to be honest. Had a hell of a time at the celebration, and there was no secret that with one thing and another that was currently going on in my life, for whatever reason, I made it quite clear to you, Mark, that I was prioritising one particular day of celebration.
Yes.
That nearly, as we know, fell apart for me a little bit. Rather mischievous story in the background, but one thing led to another, and I was able to get exactly what I wanted, and so on and so forth, and see what I wanted. And I was like a kid in a candy shop, very quietly. I handled Star Wars Celebration a little bit low key. I was tired and so on and so forth, but there was no way I was letting this thing stop me. And one thing and another with not hotels, apartments and travel, and my wife was going away and everything else. I felt like the clangor inside a bell, and I don't know if that was apparent really when I was there for the weekend. And if it was, Mark, I apologise profusely now. But
no, not at all.
Everything was a bit, I was a little bit bouncing around all over the place, sort of thing. But for I don't know, for a couple of hours inside a large auditorium in the Excel, I just drifted off and just I got completely captivated by this whole story again, and so on and so forth. I was absolutely drooling on everything they had to offer us, and tiny little things like, oh, by the way, there's a poster when you leave, guys, and it was like, oh my god, a poster, sort of thing.
I'm looking at it now.
And then it was just like the images of the troopers in the lagoons, all the Maldive waters and things like that, and I was like, oh man, I'm lapping this up. And one of the issues I had with TFA was what I very, very openly said to people in the beginning: a lack of originality. I didn't think they pushed the envelope enough for the average Star Wars fanboy. I beg your pardon, that sounded terrible. For most Star Wars fanboys, that revisit was what was required. I'm a bit fussy, as Mark well knows, and I did want a bit more. I didn't actually, as a lie, I wanted quite a lot more. But so I left because I left TFA sort of. Yeah, I'll take it aboard as it was a pretty good film. I said, but they weren't original. Blah 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 blah. Anyway. Fast forward, then that I'm doing Rogue One in Celebration sort of thing, and we saw the behind the scenes footage and the 3.5 minute reel that we're talking about, and then we saw it twice, and we all sat there staring at each other like, are they taking the mick? And then all of a sudden Kathleen Kennedy came out, and she's like, right, this is for you guys. Yeah. And I'm not kidding, the hairs on my neck went wild, and I was just like, this is it. This is what I've waited a year for. Seriously, a year with all that crap that went on.
Yeah.
And as it rolled on, I was close to tears, man. It was awesome.
Well, I did shed a tear, I have to admit.
It was just brilliant, but it was more about capping the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I left, obviously, got on with life and so on and so forth, and kept banging away at apartment blocks and things that, trying to get what was duly ours. And in the process, I happened to be going through my machine, my computer, and I realised that I had, let's just say, I had a copy of TFA on it. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I very rarely sit on the phone at the work doing anything worthwhile other than reading a book and so on and so forth. So I pumped it into my phone. And I watched it on the way to work one morning. And I watched it on the way back home again, beginning to end. That's how long my journey is. And I did it again the next day. And I did it on the way home again as well. And I'm not kidding. I got to like viewing 3. And I was completely and utterly falling in love with this movie. It was quite bizarre. I threw away the needs and the wants of originality, and I just took on board Star Wars, I guess. And I enjoyed The Sand, and I enjoyed Maz's Place, and I enjoyed particularly Kylo Ren. I thought he's the most captivating character I've seen in a long time. I absolutely love him. And I actually love the idea he was this bratty, naive, horrible little kid that was trapped inside this mature, angry man's sort of uniform stroke body that he wants to be. And it just piled up and piled up and piled up. And I got addicted to the movie very, very quickly indeed, to be honest. But, whether it's pure romance or escapism or whatever, I got very, very easily reeled in. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch it completely, but it was, background noise again the other night because my good lady has left me for a couple of weeks while she travels, sort of thing. So, got nights on me tied while my little girl's in bed. I'm like, what shall I do? Oh, I know, I'll do this, but I've got TFA on in the background, sort of thing. So, there you go. That's my little monologue, sir.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. At the same time, there were times where you were making it sound a bit like Stockholm Syndrome. It's like I just watched it, and eventually I decided it was really good.
No, I seriously, I watched it. It was my train comes at like quarter. I'm at the platform at like 6:15 in the morning, sort of thing. So I jump on the train, and before that, literally as the train's pulling away, I'm pressing play.
Where are you travelling out from?
I live in Whitstable.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing Whitstable to Cannon Street. I used to get on that super fast thing that was like, that Scooby fast Japanese thing. But because of my location at the other end, I stroll across London in the morning. So I thought, well, I'm going to get a cheaper train. Yeah. But doing that does allow me to squeeze a film in because it's just over a 2-hour jaunt sort of thing.
Yeah, so. Sure. I mean, it's long from where I am, and I'm about halfway along the route, so I can relate.
I think don't get me wrong, I can't fit it in completely, but I think I do.
The lion's share. I
do the jump from the. I'll see Kylo and Co. The night, not the knights, but all the stormtroopers and that land on. It's not Jakku. Where is it? Poe Dameron.
Takodana.
Well,
yes, I'll see that. But if I watch that whole piece, which I do like watching, I'll normally, cut out maybe Maz's Place. Or if I'm in the mood to watch Maz's Place, I'll just wait until Poe's shot a few people and then go from there, sort of thing. Enough. So I'm kind of grabbing the little scrubbing needle at the bottom and
Yeah.
But then on the journey home, I'll watch the bits I didn't get to watch in the morning to make sure the jigsaw's complete.
That's awesome. That sounds like real fandom to me.
Bizarrely, though, you know what? The one bit that's not latching me still.
What's that?
Han Solo.
What, his entire story?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more interested in, because I know she's in it, I'm more interested in where Leia's going than what Han offers in that film, I guess.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, but I do particularly like, the scene on the bridge, I've actually obviously seen many, many times. I do love that scene, the pair of them.
It's really good. It's just really well composed as well, just like the way the light just kind of fades out behind Han, and then it's just kind of darkness.
Totally innocent and totally guilty at the same time. It's superb.
Yeah.
It's very atmospheric. And I'm now getting cross that Chewie wasn't a better shot and wasn't angrier earlier and stuff like that.
Did you ever see that little cartoon that an artist made explaining that?
No.
He showed, there was this little illustration, you'll probably be able to search it, why Chewie didn't shoot Kylo Ren. It's this beautiful little comic strip, little illustration of Chewie aiming at Kylo at that moment, and he gets the perfect bullseye. And then it's like Chewie drifts off and he remembers when Ben was a baby and he was holding the baby, and then Ben is a bratty little boy and Chewie's comforting him. And then you see the crosshair of the bowcaster drop until he just wounds him in that in the flank. It was really sweet. Really sweet little thing.
And the other thing, obviously, is in the last 2 weeks, because I've been lucky enough that I've been jumping back into the casts with one thing with time, and with the second thing, Mark likes me again.
Okay, that's not fair.
It pushes the passion. I'm not going to lie.
So Mark likes me again, and Mark's reaction is that's not true.
No, he just got the numbers. I don't think it's an accident. His figures have gone up tenfold in the last 2 weeks.
I think you might be right there.
Last week's podcast was very, very popular.
It was really good. That's why. And like I say, I think this one's going to be hopefully maybe not equally well received. Like I say, it's a little bit more stop-start in places, but I think the content's just as good.
Well, the content's obviously written largely by the audience.
Well,
so
sure, but
that's what people are responding to, I think.
In which case, they have no complaints when it's rubbish.
Yeah.
The thing is, you've got a nice cocktail going on here, and I wouldn't change things in a hurry where, without embarrassing anybody or without putting anybody down, you've got 2 experts and 2 reasonable. I consider myself a reasonable layman, and I'm pretty good, but I still consider myself a reasonable layman compared to you guys, and that adds a good cocktail to Mr. and Mrs. Smith that are out there. So
I agree.
People want to hear high-end stuff, and they'll be expecting you to answer those kind of questions in a very accurate manner very quickly. But at the same time, Mr. and Mrs. Smith are out there wondering what me and Steve are probably thinking about a few things as well. So
I can see that. I mean, with that one, I think I definitely see where you're coming from. It's obviously I keep banging on about the legends, and while they're not as important as they used to be, because obviously they're not canon anymore, they do still have some things like storyline precedents for things that have been done in the past and stuff they could bring back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Themes, characters, and so on they could bring back. Because obviously without the legends, we'd have been going, who's this bloody Thrawn fella?
Yeah.
No, but at the same time, if it's part of the universe, it still adds tangents of validity to it anyway. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure when people hear you talk about legends and legends canon, they will either ignore it, but they're more likely now they've heard somebody talk about it with passion to go back and dip a toe in and see what they can pull out of it for themselves.
This is what I keep coming back to, because I totally understand the viewpoint that because things aren't canon anymore, there's no point in going back to them. But I still think they're good stories. They tell a good, they spin a good yarn. These writers. I mean, Timothy Zahn. There's a reason everybody was excited that he was getting involved in EU again, because he's one of the legends of legends.
Indeed.
When it comes to when he comes to
that's
writing,
quite superlative.
quite so. He's like a legendception or something. He's one of those highly regarded writers within the Legends canon because the stuff he wrote was so good, because he wrote all the Thrawn stuff, and the Thrawn stuff he's one of the more compelling characters in Legends. I mean, there's definitely room for other things to make their ways back into the saga as well. So this is one of those things I think the Legends still add value in a discussion about Star Wars, because you do get a feeling of the more well-regarded stuff is the stuff they're going to look at first. Because, I mean, I have no problem believing that the last thing on anybody's mind at Lucasfilm Story Group is fucking Planet of Twilight. Because that was one of the worst received, not only one of the worst received, but just one of the worst EU books. There's nothing against the author. It just wasn't a very compelling story. So, these are those things, because it's Barbara Hambly, and I believe Barbara Hambly wrote Truce at Bakura as well. I'd have to double check that.
I read that
she wrote Children of the Jedi and Planet of Twilight. And Children of the Jedi, I have to refamiliarize myself with the story on that one, if I'm honest. But Children of the Jedi, that was a great one. Children of the Jedi was really good, because Luke kind of ended up with on like a dreadnought, an automated dreadnought that had been designed to annihilate a planet. It was all set up to sort of go into hibernation, and
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's the first one I actually read as well. Maybe that's why I have a
I've got
more kind of
I've
nostalgia.
got a bunch of them in a trunk around here somewhere that I would devour them before I started reading other more challenging fare.
But they are quite accessible in that respect, yeah.
But in the absence of any other Star Wars content, that was the best we could get to for a while. And even when the prequel trilogy came out, that all had currency, that had value, because that was all we had access to. And now we've spoiled because we got all this brand new stuff. We've got the OT to go back to whenever we want, and now we've got the Legends canon for people who can switch off part of their brain and read old, well-told stories that don't pay into. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. I now need everything to pay into one big story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, but it's healthy to have other channels, mate. Always.
No, I don't agree with you.
You don't?
No.
I don't believe you.
No, it is a personal thing. I think what I find is as with last week's, I got very, very confused over the crystal thing. So I've had to post a retraction this week, Paul, on the main podcast, about something I got wrong about Luke's lightsaber. And that's because I started reading something, got a bit of information off of it, and then moved on to something else. I don't have time to sort of dip into those things, as good as they may be, if they're not going to enhance my enjoyment of the next thing. You know, if it's a standalone story that doesn't affect the events of episode 8,
okay,
I'm probably not going to touch it.
You've just said something that's stopping me with my next question, which is just as well, actually. I was going to say, so how are you going to deal with Rogue One and Han Solo movies? But as long as they sync correctly into the timeline, you're happy bunny.
Yeah, the other side of that, the other side of my idiosyncratic coin is that I will give the big screen priority over everything else.
Yeah.
So if they decided next year they're going to make a Knights of the Old Republic story that's set thousands of years before anything that happens here, because it goes to the big screen, I'll watch it and I'll consume it, and that'll become part of my personal headcanon.
Yeah.
Whether or not it feeds directly into the stories I'm invested in now, the way Rogue One and the Han Solo film will, and whatever else they do next, I will still enjoy it, because that becomes one of those big screen events that I'll be talking about on this podcast, and I'll be writing about on the website, and I'll be devouring every piece of information. Yeah, and doing all the speculation thing.
My next question then would be, what if a Ben trilogy was only novelized, which you've been screaming for forever?
Yeah, well, firstly, what a crime. What an absolute crime. When you've got someone like Ewan McGregor who's perfectly positioned.
I am really straw manning here. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I would think, so far, I've read Perfect Weapon and Bloodline. I've taken the time out, and I've really enjoyed those, and I've found them very rewarding, but they do pay into that main story that I'm invested in. I'm going to read Tarkin. I'm going to read Life Debt at some point.
Yep.
I just don't seem to have the time to do it at the moment. And if they did a Ben Kenobi trilogy as a book, or as a series of books, I would read it. I would find a way to read it. Because it would be setting up that man we meet in the desert in episode 4.
Yeah.
So that would be important to me. In fact, I am going to contradict everything I've just said by saying that I did download Kenobi from Audible a couple of months ago, and I listened to sort of 15 minutes of it, and then it had all those little things that really bug me in expanded Star Wars storytelling. Just the minutiae just seems off sometimes. It's something Claudia Gray got really right in Bloodline, because there was none of that when you talk about the wee squibbles on the what's name. Yeah. She didn't waste any time with that. It was very lean, her storytelling style. I'm sure that there was some of it in there, when I can't remember the guy's name, the Nikto guy who gave Leia the Hutt Slayer.
Shit. Yeah. Oh, bollocks. I know the one you mean.
Riven? Was it Riven?
Riven
Dye. Yeah, Riven Dye. He was Welsh.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they covered in the book there was wandering dangerously close to some of the little details that offend me. Like, you remember last week I read out the synopsis of that new character they revealed at Comic-Con?
Yes.
And it said that he was an egg. He flies a ship with his egg, mate. I hate that stuff. I really can't stand all that. And that's the problem when you get into books and they've got a lot of pages to fill, that the minutiae tends to get in the way. That's why I enjoyed Perfect Weapon so much, which I'd highly recommend, Paul. It's a really short read. You can do it in a couple of hours. Just a short story, really lean. I think it's packed with masses of information if you read too much into it.
I've just started Bloodline.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
When did you start that, mate?
About 3 days ago.
Enjoying it?
Yeah. It's the writing style is a little. What's the word I'm looking for? Unnecessarily flossy once or twice. But
okay.
I think she's one of the better examples of that.
No, but there's one or two things that I don't care for. She'll describe a breeze through Leah's hair for a paragraph. It's like I used to get furious at the old Tolkien thing. He'd talk about rock for 54 pages for crying out loud. But just little things. I kind of like cracking on with story. I do need back end composite and I do need a scene build. Yeah. But I don't need to worry about the breeze going through someone's hair. But there you go. Yeah. Teeny weeny things, but right at the moment, I'm enormously enjoying it. Yeah. And I've always, I'm a bit of a. Please lay it on a plate. I don't mind if it's 6 hours long, but give me some, conclusion sort of thing. But the way they've been talking about the politic in Star Wars has always ground me down. Yeah. She did manage to put that in a nice round ball, in a couple of paragraphs, basically, which was quite appealing. So the whole Senate Republic thing was, it was balled up very easily as well for me, which I liked. I'm only just getting to the point where, I'm not, it's not a spoiler as such, it's so early in the book, but she's decided she might fancy jaunting all over the galaxy with Han as a pirate.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah, I found that
it's being done.
That was a massive revelation to me, that they were. I just thought after TFA that they'd split up some point soon after Return of the Jedi, and that was it. And I was quite surprised to see that they were as invested in each other as it turns out they were, and I was really pleased with that. I like that.
Yeah. I was incredibly surprised when they started bringing in, obviously we've talked about in spoilers about some of the characters they may have introduced in Life Debt. And if they've done it that way, that's ballsy as all hell.
Well, this is it, isn't it? This is what I wonder. You don't have a story group in place if you're only making films, the way I look at it, because these are people that are all now orchestrating all this media. And everything, the primary channel is the films, but then the next tier down are the TV shows. That might be limited to Rebels at the moment, but if this ABC thing goes, then we've got another TV show, could be live action, that we get a lot more reveals in. And then you've got expanded media like your books and your comic books and your video games. I know there's nothing video game-wise right now,
but it's mostly Battlefront.
It's just Battlefront. But I think that they're building a stage now.
Oh, there's going to be there's something coming, because they've already talked about how something's coming.
Well, at Celebration, they said they've got David Goyer on board to develop a Darth Vader VR game. Yeah. And that will add to canon.
Okay. So that'll basically just tell a story of something Darth Vader did.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what it's going to be, but you don't have Goyer on board. No, whatever you think of David Goyer as a writer or a director, it doesn't really matter. You don't bring in a heavyweight like him unless you want to do something significant on that platform. Yeah. So I think it's really exciting, and like to speak to the point you just made, Rob, it is ballsy to drop big reveals in expanded media that then affect the events on the screen, which is your primary source of storytelling. Yeah. It's very bold to do something like that, and I'll be watching this now with great interest to see how they do this stuff. I'm really keen for them to do it. I don't want to have to chase my tail to try and keep up and have to read a dozen comic books in a year just to know what's happening in the film I'm going to see in May,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I don't want to have to.
Sure.
Anyway, I think that might be a good place to wrap this up because the clock is ticking. I've got an early start. I've got to do some editing.
Fair enough.
Anybody got anything they want to throw in before we skillfully and stylishly back out of this podcast?
There's a really quick one. By a show of voices, I guess, by a show of yes or no's, who's interested in seeing Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I still am.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. This is what I wonder about how much influence the press really has anymore. Is I've been reading nothing but things about how much the press is the critics are slating it, and it just makes me think, well, I still think it looks all right.
That the critics, well,
it might be that the critics just don't speak for me.
They don't.
People like me.
They don't, Rob. They don't.
Yeah.
I find society generally ridiculously fickle. I don't know about you and me, or I don't know about you two guys, but most of my friends, I occasionally might do it. I might be guilty too, but most of my friends post pictures on a daily or hourly basis about how beautiful life is, and hug your friend and do this. Positive. Yes.
Yeah.
The minute we read a bad review from a newspaper we already dislike and disrespect, we're sold
on the movie. Yeah,
we're
sold on their review.
We're sold on their review, and yet we hate the paper, we hate the journalists, we hate everything about the press, blah 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 blah. And yet, the minute they give us a bad review about a film, everyone's like, "I'm not going to see that." It's like, oh, Christ, go make your own bloody mind. I don't get it.
What does that
as much
tell
as
you,
everyone
Paul?
pretends to be positive on a daily basis, an hourly basis, they seem to let this this big drawbridge come up the moment they see a bad review of something.
It's because those people are just waiting for the other shoe to drop all the time.
Yeah, people do enjoy other people's pain, don't they? That's the problem.
I mean,
this is true.
It means you haven't got any of your own, or it equates to what you might be carrying, I guess.
Yeah. I came out of Man of Steel. Paul, we saw that together, the four of us.
Yeah, we looked at each other and went,
what a bunch of crap. And we were really hyped for that. I had a timer online counting down to that film.
Yeah.
I was dead keen. So excited when we got there. And when I came out, I said, "What was that? What just happened?" And I made a comment on one of the podcasts we were doing at the time, or just shortly thereafter, that I felt like I'd been punched in the soul by that film.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, because it was just
wow, that escalated fast.
It was beyond disappointing.
It failed to deliver on just about everything. At best, it failed to deliver. At worst, I think it set light to the things that I was looking forward to.
At worst, it straight up killed a kid.
Yeah. But I went to, I didn't, I should say, go to Batman versus Superman.
For that reason.
Purely because Man of Steel was such a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
That I just thought there's no way I'm going to get anything out of that. And then I started seeing all those reports where basically everybody immolated that film saying it was a piece of dog shit.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'll quietly feel vindicated that I've saved myself whatever amount of time in the cinema. But I've since watched it and thoroughly enjoyed it. So,
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah. It's
it could be there could be something to be said for expectations being effect. I go in expecting something to be good and fails to deliver, therefore it's bad. And then I go into Batman versus Superman expecting it to be bad, and it isn't bad. Therefore, it's
you
good.
Would expect. Yeah. Do you remember? Do you ever see Max Payne?
No.
So it's based. Obviously, it's the one based on the video game.
Yeah,
and
Wahlberg.
I went into that. Yeah, Marky. Yeah. Went in there, watched the movie, came out of it going, that was awesome. And slowly over time, what actually happened was it dawned on me slowly that I was just relieved it wasn't complete shit.
Yeah.
And it was okay, and it was fine. It was okay. Yeah. It was okay. It was an okay movie. I was glad I watched it. I didn't like it's not like doesn't stand up to the it's not I doubt if I went back to it now I'd be like this is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be like, yeah, no, I stand by this. It was fine.
Well, I came out of episode 2 saying that film was brilliant. That might be the best thing since Empire Strikes Back.
Wow. Okay.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I did. When all the troopers and the ships and everything started to build,
Yeah.
It was like, this is really kicking. I mean, I think people were staring at each other, started to glance at each other. Like, oh my God, it started. It's like, then the bloody credits rolled.
Do you know what's incredible is I do remember this at the time. Like I went to see it with my dad. This is one of those things. Star Wars is always. I was thinking about this. Star Wars has always kind of occupied that space where me and my dad have always been to see it together. And actually, Force Awakens was the first one I went to see without him. Where he went to see it by himself, and I went to see it elsewhere, and he went to see it elsewhere and stuff. Before that point, I'd always been to see it with him, and we went to see Episode 2. And I remember when Yoda's lightsaber came out, everybody started cheering, and I'm guessing it's one of those things where the penetration of seeing it in action just hadn't happened in the UK, because I remember I looked at the celebration, they played that sort of top 10 celebration moments reel.
Yeah.
One of the moments they played was the first time they showed Yoda with a lightsaber coming out, and everybody was losing their shit. They were so excited and they were so happy, and they were, ecstatic that Yoda was going to have a fight scene. And we went in there and we got to that point until he, he pulls the lightsaber onto his belt, and we were just like, oh, amazing. And then he starts bouncing around like a fucking jackrabbit, and we were just pissing ourselves, and the entire cinema was pissing themselves. And that's not what you want from that. You want kind of awe and shock and awe, and it wasn't that. It was just, we were all just laughing at it.
There are some moments in that film that I genuinely got awe from, and they were like Paul's just said, the clone troopers coming in, and there's Sonic a shot grenades. There's a whip pan shot in there, and a rapid zoom that just gave the film like the sense of urgency that it had been missing up until that point.
Yeah, the Sonic grenades were my favourite thing.
Oh, that was awesome.
Just seeing that in the cinema was amazing.
Yeah.
Just hearing it go all across the.
Do you know, it's almost like we need to watch this film together and perhaps record our thoughts as we go.
It's almost like that, isn't it? It's almost like that. You know what else it's also like, Mark? It's almost like I have to go ahead and watch all the films again for an upcoming project.
In some sort of order that perhaps people can have an impact on.
Or a reorder.
Indeed.
Perhaps. Yeah.
On a slightly disconnected note, we've got some projects planned for the future, ladies and gentlemen.
We have lots of them, yes. Well, I say lots of them. We have some.
No, no details here. No.
I actually have two, but I'm not going to talk about another one until I'm much further along.
Yeah, I have a couple of things on the back burner at the moment, but a couple of urgent things that I'm really dying to get for us lot to get our teeth into, and they're all coming though. Become a VIP and you'll see them first. All right.
There you go.
Let's get out of here. Guys, do you want to do any sort of promo on your way out?
No, we're funky. We did it before. I'm good.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter at RobWadeVision. Done.
Oh, you'd sell your soul, wouldn't you?
I'm a tremendously publicised narcissist, Paul.
Mind you, actually, I've just changed my name. Maybe I should.
There you go. See,
update people.
Smart ass.
Yeah, then they're now both movie scored.
Yes. So, on Twitter, it's movie score _ right?
It's actually just but you can still find me under movie score. So.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm at Talk Star Wars on Twitter.
Who cares about you?
But apparently nobody cares about me.
Oh.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
Take care of each other.
May the force be with you.